Okay, so in this video, we'll be focusing on the thymus gland or the thymus. Okay, the thymus gland or the thymus. In fact, the thymus gland is a gland that is located behind. This is a thymus gland. This is a gland that is located behind the sternum, okay, or the breastbone, okay, in the upper chest region between the two lungs. So these are the lungs. So we have the right lung and then the left lung. Okay, good. And then we have the thymus over here. So the thymus is located in between the two lungs. In fact, in the upper chest. Okay, so the sternum is in front and then the thymus gland or the thymus is behind. Okay, and this region is the mediastinum. So it is just on top of the region of the, or superior to the region of the mediastinum. The heart is within the mediastinum. Okay, so the thymus gland is a gland that is located behind the sternum, okay, or the breastbone in the upper chest region between the lungs. Okay, so this is how the thymus gland looks like. It's similar to the thyroid gland, just that the thyroid gland, the medial part of the thyroid gland is very narrow, and that is why the medial part of the thymus gland is referred to as the isthmus. Is that okay? But it's similar. It also has two lobes, just as the thyroid gland. So the right lobe of the thymus gland, and then this is the left lobe of the thymus gland. Okay, good. Apart from that, anatomically, so apart from the two lobes, okay, we also have small lobules inside the thymus gland. Small lobules. You can see it clearly in this very diagram. So we have small lobules. So small lobules in it. Now, the membrane around the entire thymus gland, we call it the thymic capsule. Okay, so the membrane surrounding the entire thymus gland, we call it the thymic capsule or the capsule. Is that okay? Then we have small lobules. We call it the lobules. Small lobes. We call it the lobules. Okay, good. Now, the region around those small lobules, we call it the cortex. And then the middle layer of the lobules is the medulla. Is that okay? Great. And in between the lobules, the space in between the lobules or the area in between the lobules is called the septi, or you can call it interlobular septum. Okay, great. Then within the cortex, we have the thymic corpuscles. Is that okay? We have the thymic corpuscles within the lobules. Is that okay? Great. So basically, that is the anatomical description of the thymus gland. So let's go over it again. So we have the thymus gland. So these are the lungs. So it's located in between the lungs. So this is the mediastinum. So just superior to the mediastinum or the mediastinal region. That is where we have the thymus gland. Okay, and the thymus gland is behind the mediastinum. The mediastinum is in front, anterior to it. Do you get it? So the thymus gland is behind the mediastinum, okay, in the upper chest region in between the two lungs. That is the anatomical location of the, and then it's made up of how many lobes? Two lobes, the right lobe and then the left lobe. Then within the lobes, we have the lobules. Okay, you see that clearly or very eminent on this diagram. We have small lobules within it. Now, the membrane surrounding the entire thymus gland is called the capsule. Is that okay? And then within the lobules too, we have the lobules. The region around the lobules is the cortex, and then the medial part of the lobules is the medulla. Is that okay? Great. And in between the lobules is the septi or the interlobular septum. Okay, then within the medulla we have the thymic corpuscles. Okay, so the another important thing that you should note is that this thymus gland, okay, this thymus gland is actually part of the endocrine system and also part of the immune system. And so when we are talking about immune system, we are still going to talk about the thymus gland. Okay, great. So the thymus gland is a bilobed lymphoid and endocrine organ located in the upper anterior mediastinum, just above the heart and behind the sternum. It is very prominent in infants and children, and it shrinks. Okay, so as you are heading to puberty, it begins to shrink. Is that okay? Good. So at birth, the weight of the thymus gland is between 10 to 15 grams. Is that okay? And it keeps growing until puberty. So until puberty, it grows to about 30 to 40 grams. Then it begins to decline as you age beyond puberty. It begins to decline to the point that it fuses to form parts of your fibrous and fatty tissues, especially in elderly adults. Now, this gland is composed of two lobes, just as I explained earlier, and is divided into lobules. Okay, and each of the lobules has cortex. Okay, and within the cortex we have the cortex is composed of is made of dense immature T cells, and then we have the medulla, which contains mature T cells, and then the corpuscles. Is that okay? So we have the lobes, so right lobe, the left lobe. Within the lobes we have the lobules. Is that okay? Good. Around the lobules we have the cortex. So around the lobules we have the cortex, and then we have the medulla, which is within the lobules. Okay, and we are saying that at the area of the cortex we have immature T cells, and then at the region of the medulla we have mature T cells and then corpuscles. Is that okay? Now, the cortex that contains the mature T cells, they support the T cell development. Basically, that because they contain immature T cells. So that is a region that supports the T cell development. Whilst the medulla that contains the mature T cells itself, okay, they aid in T cell selection. You get it? So that's the difference with the cortex and then the medulla and their functions. Now, the thymus gland basically secretes three hormones. Okay, now the three hormones, we have the THYMOSIN, we have the THYMOPOIETIN, and then THYMULIN. The THYMOSIN is actually responsible for T cell differentiation and maturation. The THYMOPOIETIN also aids in T cell differentiation alone. And then the THYMULIN plays a role in enhancing T cell function or T cell activation. Okay, so the thymus gland basically secretes three main hormones. We have the thymosin, we have the THYMOPOIETIN, and then the THYMULIN. The thymosin actually promotes T cell differentiation and T cell maturation. Now, the THYMOPOIETIN aids in T cell differentiation, and then the THYMULIN is responsible for T cell function or T cell activation. That is why we can say that together, the hormones produced by the thymus gland, they help regulate maturation, differentiation, and activation of T cells or T lymphocyte cells. You get, so the thymosin helps in maturation and differentiation, THYMOPOIETIN helps in differentiation, and then THYMULIN helps in activation of the T lymphocytes. And all these processes are essential for adaptive immunity. Okay, now in the thymus gland, we have three different types of cells. We have the thymic epithelial cells, the TECs. Okay, they secrete the three thymic hormones. Okay, and present self-antigens to guide T cell education, vital for both positive and negative selection. Then we have macrophages and dendritic cells. Now, these macrophages and dendritic cells, they help to remove apoptotic and then non-functional or self-reactive. Okay, they remove apoptotic T cells and assist in antigen presentation during T cell selection. Now, developing T lymphocytes, we have the thymocytes. Okay, so immature T cells that undergo maturation, learning to recognize self from non-self. Now, let's look at the general function of the thymus gland. Now, the thymus gland helps to promote development of immunocompetent T cells. They also help with the establishment of self-tolerance and also prevent autoimmunity. Okay, the reason is because the thymus gland help in the recognition of self and non-self of cells. Is that okay? So if you have a problem with the thymus gland and then the hormones that they produce, what is going to happen is there can be autoimmunity. a situation whereby your own immune system can start attacking certain cells or tissues in your body. Okay, apart from that, it is also essential for central immune system development, especially in early life. Okay, now let's look at the organs that the hormones produced by the thymus gland, the organs that they target. Now, they target the bone marrow. Okay, in targeting the bone marrow, they would help derive T cell precursors and undergo education in the thymus. They also target peripheral lymphoid organs. Peripheral lymphoid organs, for example, the lymph nodes, spleen. Okay, good. And by targeting these organs, they help or they contribute to housing mature T cells for immune defense. Okay, so basically these are the organs that the hormones of the thyroid, the thymus gland, they target. Now, the key facts that you need to understand with the thymus gland or the thymus is that this gland or this organ is part of the lymphatic system, and it's also part of the endocrine system. Okay, and another key point you should note is that this gland or organ is very active and largest in infancy and childhood. Apart from that, this gland is very essential for development of cell-mediated immunity. Okay, so there are 3 key points you need to note about this organ or this gland. It plays a role in both lymphatic system and endocrine system. Secondly, the organ or the gland is very active and largest in infancy. Okay, because we mentioned that at birth it weighs between 10 to 15 grams, and it keeps on growing until puberty, where it grows to about 30 to 40 grams. Then it now begins to decline after puberty and even shrinks to become part of your fatty or fibrous or adipose tissues, especially in elderly adults. Is that okay? Great. And lastly, the last key fact you need to know about this gland is that it is very essential for the development of cell-mediated immunity. Okay, now the clinical significance or the reason why it's important for you to understand or be knowledgeable about the thymus gland is that, for example, in conditions like thymyoma, okay, where there is a tumor of the thymus gland, usually such conditions are going to be associated with autoimmune diseases. Is that okay? Whereby your body's own immune system, because now the thymus gland is getting damaged. You get, and so the cells within the thymus gland, especially those ones that produce the thymic hormones, are going to be affected. Okay, and that is going to cause issues relating to autoimmune conditions or defects. Okay, and so with such cases, the person's own immune system can start fighting, because cell differentiation and cell recognition is going to be affected, because the thymic hormones are the ones that help with cell differentiation, so that your immune system can be able to differentiate that this cell is this kind of cell, this cell is part of the body. It helps with recognition of self in terms of the cellular level. Do you get it? So in such a situation, we have another condition that we call the DiGEORGE syndrome. Okay, where there is a congenital absence of the thymus gland. We call it the DiGEORGE syndrome or the DiGEORGE syndrome. In this condition, there is a congenital absence of the thymus, and that can lead to several or severe immune deficiency conditions. You get, because there is absence of the thymus gland. So you can imagine, so the person would be at risk of several autoimmune situations or several autoimmune conditions. That condition is called the DiGEORGE syndrome. Okay, and apart from that, if someone is having a problem with the thymus gland, you should understand that the person is going to be at risk of autoimmune disorders. Okay, because there is going to be issues like improper T cell selection in thymus, and such a situation can lead to autoimmunity. Do you get it? It can cause autoimmunity. Okay, great. So basically that is it about the thymus gland. Okay, so the functions of the thymus gland in summary is that it helps in T cell maturation. Okay, it helps to produce and mature the T lymphocytes. That is what we are talking about. It helps in the production, it plays a role in the production and maturation of T lymphocytes, which are essential for adaptive immunity. Okay, and again, the immune T cells, they migrate from the thymus to become functional immune cells. So when you are infancy or at birth, even though it's produced at the thymus, but as you are growing, heading to puberty or even beyond puberty, the T lymphocytes that have been produced by the thymus gland, they would migrate from the thymus to become functional immune cells. Functional immune cells. Do you get it? And then the secretion of their hormones, that's the thymic hormones. So the THYMOSIN, the THYMOPOIETIN, the THYMULIN, which helps to regulate the maturation, differentiation, and activation of the T lymphocytes. So like I mentioned, the THYMOSIN helps with the maturation and differentiation of the T cells. The THYMOPOIETIN helps with the differentiation, and then the THYMULIN helps with the activation or with the function of the T cells. Okay, so basically that is it about the thymus gland. Okay, all right, so I wish you all the best. Kindly support the channel by clicking on the like button. Make sure you subscribe so that anytime we upload a video, you will get a notification. And do well to make an attempt to share content on the channel to your colleagues or your friends who may find it very useful. All the best.